Good afternoon, South San Francisco. This is Rich Lee, your Assistant City Manager, as well as your podcast host and producer. I am joined here by a very special guest, Bryan Neider, CEO of AbilityPath. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rich. Great to be here.
So I first came across you as a part of the Leadership Council's core program. I think we were in Half Moon Bay,
right,
and you joined us for kind of a lunch and learn. I thought we were going to do a rotation where I'd get a chance to talk to you. But here we are, thanks to one of your staff members, Danielle Azzolino. She connected us. And I definitely wanted to have you here on the podcast. When we met earlier, you mentioned that AbilityPath in South San Francisco, they have a long history of collaboration. And can you tell us a little bit about how that came to be?
Sure. So many years ago, you may remember state legislator and educator, Gene Mullen, father of our current congressman, Kevin Mullen. He'd been involved with AbilityPath. At that time, the name was Community Gate Path and Popular Recare before that. And he was also involved in as a public servant for the city of South San Francisco, a longtime resident. And he made that connection for programs that AbilityPath offers. This is probably going back, Rich, at least 30 years. Maybe even a little bit more. And it started with being able to have access to community space that the city had for programs for adults with developmental disabilities. And from that, the relationship blossomed over the year, and it's never wavered. It's continued to grow. As you know, we held the legislative session in the city's chambers just this last week, which was fantastic. So it goes long and deep, the relationship with South City.
So this is the second time in as many weeks that Gene Mullen's name has been mentioned. We just wrapped up the Youth in Government program.
Yes.
Which is, I think this is the 43rd year of that, and that has its roots back to Gene Mullen.
Wow.
So there's, and in fact, I'm remembering this document that my city manager had shared with me, and it has just a long history of all of these assets that are in the city, things that are named after people.
Right.
And Gene knew the story behind every single one of them.
Yeah, Gene was a remarkable man, and I got to know him first when I was on the AbilityPath board years ago in meeting Gene. But when I came on as CEO, Gene was incredibly gracious with his time and wisdom. By education, he was an educator. He was a teacher of the year, and that certainly was something that was one of the greatest talents that he shared with everyone is teaching. And when I had a chance to meet him as part of the AbilityPath organization as CEO, he was just very gracious, sharing his wisdom as a transition from the corporate world to the nonprofit world. And I think one of the most interesting things is being able to spend time with public officials, elected officials, in city government, county government, and even at the state level. There are some amazing public servants, and I mean that word servant. Mm-hmm. They're here to serve others, and Gene exemplified that. And I just feel blessed to be able to have time with him to help me make the transition from the for-profit world to the nonprofit world. He was amazing. And
that's a great segue to my first question. You had spent decades in the private industry, kind of finishing up as, was the CEO of EA?
I was the COO for EA Studio Development, around the world.
I'm curious, were there, in that transition, were there transferable skills and experiences in going into this role as CEO of AbilityPath?
There were some. There was also a lot of new learning, so it's a little bit of both. I'm going to start with one thing. I wish I had the experience from nonprofits back in the corporate world, and that is around, nonprofits are community-based organizations, and you really have to listen to the community's needs and be much more tuned in and taking the time and energy to understand whatever the issues and opportunities are from every angle. And I think that listening process in bringing people along and getting community engagement is a very transferable skill that would benefit a lot of for-profit organizations around employee engagement. Listening to employees, I know they talk about it a lot, but the reality is, as a nonprofit and a community-based organization, you cannot get anything done if the community isn't behind you. And in the for-profit world, it's a bit different than that, because people have stock options and they have compensation, which is people are passionate about the work, but those are motivators different from having to have engagement when people volunteer their time.
Right.
And they can or cannot opt in or out. If they don't believe in your mission, they're not going to follow. And so I wish I had that experience back in my earlier days of managing. I still think I was an okay manager, but I think it would have been a very beneficial skill set to have more appreciation for that element. Coming into the nonprofit world, I think there are pieces that the nonprofit space can learn a little bit more about, and that is sustainability. And sustainability from a financial standpoint. Sometimes we get so focused on the mission that we think that it's somehow inappropriate to be talking about money and being able to be financially sustainable. But the reality is that is a requirement if we're going to deliver our services. Yep. And so I do think there's an element of that has been beneficial in bringing into the nonprofit space, which is made a difference for us. We've grown over the years and expanded our service, which is what we're all about. Being able to extend our reach and serving more folks that will benefit from what we provide.
When we met earlier, you mentioned there was a transition. It was like the 105th year, is that correct?
AbilityPath is 105 years. Yes, right. This year we're going to be 105.
Which is incredible. I mean, you've been around longer than some cities and governments.
Yes, we've been here a long time. It was founded by a group of families back in 1920 in Hillsborough and Burlingame, and these were parents that wanted to make sure their children had every opportunity to participate in the community. And so inclusion, community-wise, is one of the things that's been at a cornerstone of AbilityPath's mission and our values, is that everyone deserves an opportunity to be included in community and making that possible for the folks we serve.
I mentioned I was interviewing some elementary school children as part of a career day.
Yes.
And these were, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade students. I was interviewing this young gentleman who he was wearing a soccer uniform, and there were vocations from a wide spectrum, from law enforcement, firefighters, of course,
right?
But chefs, bakers, musicians, and I was asking him, like, okay, that's great that you want to, play soccer when as a vocation, but were there any other vocations that kind of stood out to you? And he said, well, I can do, I believe I can do anything.
Right.
And this young man was like 10 or 11 years old, and I think about your organization and working with people who have different abilities, and just fostering that belief that they can do anything.
Right. Well, I think that's a dream that everyone has, is being able to pursue things that are, interesting and motivating for them. And maybe two stories about that. We had a program that volunteers from Genentech helped with our employment program. And they would come down and do interview coaching, resume review, things like that, getting folks ready to go out into the job market, because we have a very robust job support program and an employment program. And I arrived just a little bit late because they were going to come out from these sessions with participants and we were going to have a barbecue. And the folks in our program had created dream boards, and where you cut pictures out of a magazine and paste them to a cardboard, poster board. And I'm looking at all these dream boards, and what struck me is that if I were to do a dream board and I saw our participant dream boards, the interests and desires that we have are pretty universal. And one in particular struck me was by a gentleman named Jerry. And Jerry's his favorite food was pepperoni pizza. He wanted to get a fancy car. He wanted to have a vacation in a tropical isle, probably Hawaii. He was looking for love, wanted to have a girlfriend, and he wanted to be a chef. And so looking at this, a lot of those interests are common. Who doesn't love to go to a nice sandy beach with the sun out, and who doesn't love puppies? And, Jerry liked a nice fancy car, and who doesn't want to have love in their life? And, the thing that changed for me is our job at AbilityPath is to be life coaches, to help those dreams come to life. And I'm happy to say that not long after that, Jerry actually had a job working for Bon Appetit, which is a corporate food service provider. And so, we played a very small role. It was Jerry who did it. He ended up earning that job, but we helped facilitate that for him. And, that just changed, I think, perspective. And it is really society that has held folks back from having more opportunity. Another one I'll mention, the second story, is you look back at the founding of Special Olympics, which has provided so many athletic opportunities. It was a smaller set of opportunities for the folks that are offered in the beginning. You look where it is today with a Winter Special Olympics, all the events that they've added, the population being served didn't change. What changed was society's perception of what's possible. And the fact is, we need to break down more walls and more barriers because the folks we serve are capable of so much. People need to give people a shot. And I think that's part of what our programs are about, is giving people an opportunity to pursue their dreams. Our workforce that we support, we have about 300 people in an employment program. We have never lost an employer when we've opened up an opportunity, ever. Think about that. And the folks that we support in employment are awesome employees. And, who wouldn't want people that are great attitude, love to show up to work, do a great job, good customer service. You go through all the virtues that the workforce that we serve, I think, brings to the forefront. This is about giving people a shot to do their great work because they've got the talent. They've got the talent.
When we spoke earlier, you mentioned you have hundreds of employers that have partnered with AbilityPath to provide opportunities.
Yes.
If I'm a prospective employer and I'm looking for ways to partner with AbilityPath, how would I reach out to you?
So the easiest thing is obviously to go to our website, abilitypath.org, and on it we list our programs, and in there is a link to our employment program. Feel free to contact us, and we are happy to go talk about the opportunities that we'll bring to any workforce for any employer here in the Bay Area. So we're open and available to share with folks how we make it a success for everyone.
So I believe you mentioned, you work with your clients on resume development.
Yes.
And what other services are available through workforce development to prepare them for a career?
Great. Good question. So one is resume writing. It's interview skills development. It's very much like a college career office, preparing people for the workforce. And then we try to do a really good job of matching interests and skills with the employer's job opening. So we get a good fit for that. And then we have job coaches that support the individual in that transition, but also support staff at the employer to make sure it's a successful onboarding process, and then going on and checking in to make sure that the work is going well for everybody. So it is a relationship that we have both with employee and employer to make sure it's a success for everybody.
So I mentioned employers.
Yes.
You mentioned you have a number of volunteers as well.
Yes.
So if I'm looking for ways to give back to the community through AbilityPath,
yes.
What are ways that I can reach out to you other than the website as well?
Well, certainly folks are available to go to the website and check that out. That's usually the easiest thing. There's everything in there from upcoming activities, programs in between our early intervention program, events that we hold. There's a whole array of things that we provide that folks can volunteer for. Some things that we're looking at right now that still is not fully formed, but we're looking at applying a lot more technology on the administrative side so that our teams have more time to dedicate to service and support for the folks that we serve. So if they're IT folks who are versed in software development, things like that, or some of the administrative functions, that would be a big help, and people are free to email me. It's Bryan with a Y, BRYAN at abilitypath.org, and I'll make sure to put them in touch with the right person if they're willing to volunteer to help us on that initiative, because that has a huge payback in having more time and energy to serve others.
There was an event that happened, I believe it was a week and a half ago. The group that Danielle, your staff member, and I are a part of, we were assisting another nonprofit to prepare for that.
Yes.
That is through Thrive's onboard event.
Yes.
Are you a member of Thrive? And
I am actually the board chair of Thrive of nonprofits, so in San Mateo, and Georgia Farouk is just an incredible executive director. The whole team at Thrive really is pretty amazing. And so folks in the nonprofit world, if you're not a member of Thrive, you should definitely look into it. It really is just an incredible organization, a great resource for nonprofits. One of them that you mentioned was the Onboard event, which is helping nonprofits find prospective board members and prospective board members looking for nonprofits that are maybe in an area of interest to them. So it was a wonderful event, well attended. So definitely check out the Thrive website. They have a lot of services for the nonprofit sector.
So I mentioned when I came across your profile, it was through the Leadership Council event.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I have selfish reasons. It's because my wife and I have a son with special needs. And it's a question. I through my work through South San Francisco,
right.
I see AbilityPath every day.
Yeah.
And we mentioned that long relationship that the city has had, but I have a personal affinity for what you do.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Appreciate that.
I see that and understand. I think back 10 years ago, my son is going to turn 12 this year. He was diagnosed with, and it's kind of an obscure diagnosis, but it's 15q25. It's a chromosomal deletion. And his doctors diagnosed him with, I think, at 18 months. Through the Golden Gate Regional Center,
right.
we were able to get speech therapy. And this wasn't like, once a week. It was 4 days a week. And so much appreciation for the services that are provided for free to give him,
right.
I think my wife is a kindergarten teacher. So she got her degree with a specialty in childhood development. So she knows the benchmarks that kind of are the median percentile, right? Identifying when they should kind of hit these certain benchmarks, from sitting up to saying their first words to walking. And he was always kind of perpetually behind. And so he went from getting speech therapy 4 days a week to the guy speaks a mile a minute.
Yeah,
so
that's
just
great.
Giving him that the support through GGRC,
right.
which I know your organization is heavily involved in.
Correct.
I have a personal experience with that, so
yeah,
just so much appreciation.
Oh well, thank you. There are a lot of wonderful organizations doing this work, and for the folks listening, we provide early screenings. And the regional center, Golden Gate Regional Center, provides early assessments as well. And the earlier a diagnosis is done, the impact it can have in getting access to services. As you mentioned, the services are free once a diagnosis has been provided. And getting started early can change the trajectory of someone's life in many, many ways. Whether it's access to speech therapy or other therapeutic support services, I really encourage folks to reach out. You can go to our website. We are the county provider of that early screening. And then we have a family support services group that helps people navigate a complex system of how to get services for their child that they're entitled to. So that's the Family Support Services Family Resource Center. Again, that's on our website. But again, this is free. And if people have a question, check it out if you think your child is experiencing what might be a little bit of a delay to get that screening and that assessment, because it can make a difference.
So as a part of preparing for this interview, one of the things that I think your organization and my organization are very passionate about, you're helping your families and clients with career development and opportunity, but also housing.
Yes.
South San Francisco is one of a few cities in San Mateo County that has been designated as pro-housing friendly. In addition, we have developments throughout the city. I think that these are managed by the county for individuals that have developmental disability. And I know that's something that your organization assists with as well.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Housing certainly is a challenge in the Bay Area to begin with. And in particular for adults with developmental disabilities, it's even more of a crisis. And so we work with several groups, one being Housing Choices, which is a housing advocate organization and helps manage set-asides and wait lists and enrollment for housing for individuals with developmental disabilities throughout the greater Bay Area. And so housing choices, just again, encourage people to look at that if they are looking for housing. For AbilityPath, we operate 2 cooperative living homes in San Mateo. We're working with another organization to be adding another home to our service suite for another 5 individuals in North San Mateo County. So that's the Millbrae, San Bruno, South City area. So that should be, I'll be able to announce more of that in probably the coming month or so, with the prospect of maybe even adding more homes after that. There are a lot of great organizations that do provide housing. Absolutely look at every city's website because they do set-asides. And I think advocacy for set-asides for individuals with developmental disabilities is absolutely critical. It's been interesting going to a lot of city council meetings. I think I may have been to every city council meeting between here and San Jose at some point in time. And advocacy makes a difference because a lot of times council members may not be aware of the need of housing for individuals with developmental disabilities. But once they are made aware, first of all, developers are friendly and supportive, and then city councils can work to make sure that there are set-asides for the folks that we serve. And they all fit within the guidelines for federal funding, state funding, for affordability and all that. So it's really not a significant impact for anybody to provide that accommodation for housing set-asides.
There's a member of our community that I think you may know. She's a staunch advocate for inclusion. Her son is a part of your program, and she was just appointed to the County Office of Education on their board, Edith.
Yes.
And I've seen her advocate strongly for families that need that support.
Yes.
And respect, and she's a known commodity in our community.
Advocacy makes a difference, and for those that haven't had an opportunity to see local government in action, going to city council meetings, going to county supervisor meetings, it makes a difference for people to go there and share their opinions, their thoughts, their concerns, and also things that they're happy about that the city or county may be doing. Again, these are dedicated professionals wanting to make a difference in their community, and they need to hear from all of us, because if we don't tell them, they may not know.
And I'll double down on that. Yeah. Going to every single city council meeting for my city, they care. They care about the community, yeah. And they want to hear from members of the public.
Yeah.
And you're right. If they don't hear, they may not know.
Yeah. What's the adage? All politics are local. And even though there may be a lot of turmoil at the national level, whatever state level, I will tell you that I think people will be pleasantly surprised to see local government working, trying to make a difference in the community by people that are dedicated to making their communities better. It really has been, I feel blessed to be able to go to these meetings and learn a lot more about how our local politics work and people trying to make a difference for their neighbors. I mean, listen, we're all made up of communities, and to have these dedicated public officials, trying to marshal resources to serve community needs, that's what they're doing.
So I appreciate so much, you taking time out of your busy day to be on the South San Francisco podcast. Maybe to wrap up our interview, can you talk about what you envision, you and your board, for the future of AbilityPath?
Great question. A big part of our focus in the coming years will be on finding ways to advocate for housing, whether we provide it or someone else does. It's just such a significant need. That's for the folks we serve, but also for our staff. Yeah. Caregivers are so critical to our mission, and affordability is important for them. So that's going to be part of our focus going forward. The other thing is continuing to find relationships to build more opportunities for inclusion. And that is, we work very closely with Special Olympics of Northern California. They are bringing inclusion models to our adult program as well as our 4 preschools. And we're working with them on tailoring the program design to be able to meet every child's needs, mm-hmm. And being able to provide that for all of the adults that we serve as well in an inclusive setting. We're working with multiple cities up and down the peninsula about opening programs within city and county parks. So I think inclusion, it's a way of bringing belonging for everyone, and that's a big part that we want our programs to embrace that, so that whether it's our art program we're going to be expanding in the future, Like I mentioned, our employment program, by the way, we doubled employment placements during COVID. And we see more. We had 7 placements in the last 2 weeks with a very large corporate partner here in the Bay Area, which is wonderful. So I would say the big theme is inclusion and support for our staff. And because they're doing the work that they love to do, they need to be able to afford to be able to do it here in the Bay Area. So that's our big focus.
And for myself personally, and I can understand, AbilityPath's mission. For myself, this career in local government, it's helped me identify a purpose and meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, everybody deserves to be included. They deserve just as much a chance as I do to find meaning and purpose, perhaps through career. You have your staff members that have found where they belong by serving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right, Rich. Yep.
So again, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And look forward to ongoing collaboration.
We continue working with the City of South San Francisco.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.